and welcome back to another YouTube video for my teaching. If you're new here, my name is Allison Feltz and I am a first year first grade teacher, and today I'm going to be saying 5 things that I have learned so far this year. As I said, this is my first year teaching and I'm in first grade. If you haven't watched any of my other videos, then a little background information is that I was a TA for 5 years before I started teaching, and last year we had a teacher vacancy, and so I was in 3rd grade basically teaching, but I was classified as a sub because I didn't have my teaching license, and I did that from August to December, and then I did my student teaching in the spring, and then I was released early from my student teaching to go back into a different 3rd grade classroom to cover a maternity leave as a sub. So last year was rather chaotic, but this year I've been able to stay in the same classroom, and I really feel like I have learned so much. And I know all teachers, like once they get out of that BT, they really feel like more comfortable in their teaching. So the first thing that I have learned is you are going to need help and you're going to need some support. So make sure that you have people in your corner, whether it's at your school, family, other teachers that maybe you've linked up with on social media, people that you graduated with. You need somebody that understands what you're going through and can really help you get through those hard days. And you're not going to know everything. As a first year teacher, even though I've had a lot of experience, I certainly am not going to say that I know better than like a veteran teacher. So you are going to need help. You're going to need emotional support. Okay? You're going to need somebody that you can go and confide to, and they're not going to tell your business all around the school. You have somebody that you can trust. Teaching can be very drama filled because it's a lot of women working in one place, so there's bound to be drama. So you need somebody that you can trust. This way you're not going to the principal every time that something doesn't go your way. You're going to a friend or a mentor. At my school, I have a mentor teacher that I can go to with any issues or problems. But I also have my team, which we have 7 teachers in first grade. So I have my people on my first grade team that I can go to with any issues, anything, and they will help me. So that's my first point. You're gonna need help. You're gonna need support.
Teaching is hard.
Next thing is that I have been learning this year is that kids need grace and they need affirmations. This is something that I don't feel like I learned at the beginning of the year. I've learned as I've progressed. So something that I've really been trying to tell my kids is I'm proud of you. Like when I see that they're doing exactly what they need to be doing, they're, really trying hard to read and be prepared for 2nd grade, I can say, I'm so proud of how you're doing. You should be proud of yourself. And you need to tell your parents that, Mrs. Feltz is proud of you. And they need to hear that. And I think that's somewhere that I really need to grow because it doesn't come as naturally to me. And so if I am affirming them and they are feeling secure, they're feeling safe in my classroom, they're going to want, out of respect for me, to do what they're supposed to. And so this is something that I've learned from the teacher that I worked with in first grade, but also just experience with these kids this year. They really need me to tell them that they're doing a good job, because for some of them, they don't hear that. They only hear that like, oh, well, you're not doing well in school, so you need to really step it up. But they don't hear that you're working so hard. I can tell, I can see it. And they just need those affirmations. The third thing that I have learned this year, which kind of goes with my personality, but stay ahead of any deadlines, your lesson plans. I know sometimes it's hard depending on how your grade level plans, because some teachers plan everything by themselves. Some teachers like split off and do subjects. Some grade levels plan completely together. And especially when you're planning all together, you all need to have input on it. And so as much as my planner self would like to have the rest of the school year planned out in my plan book, I can't do that. And this is where my support came in. I talked to one of my friends and she's like, you gotta let it go, which is hard because I'm very much a planner. And like right now we have a week out planned and I'm like, I want to have like everything ready. I want to have everything in, copies and all that. So I got some advice even today. I need to let it go. So make sure that if something is shared with you that needs to be done, go ahead and do it. Don't let it sit in your inbox, in your email. Go ahead and get it done, even if it means that you've got to come in early the next day or stay a little bit after your contract hours. There's just so much that has to be done, and your kids are your first priority during the day. So sometimes you are going to have to take that time before and after school.
It's just a part of the job.
Something to be ready for. My fourth thing that I didn't think that I would struggle with this year, but I have, and that is being consistent in my classroom management. So I felt like I had a really good grasp on classroom management, what I needed to do. I've seen it done very well as a TA. And so I was like, well, I can do this easy.
No, ma'am.
I have struggled to stay consistent. And even at the beginning of the year, it's these little things that you just don't even know can be taken completely out of context by the kids. So one example, which is going to sound so small, but every time my kids line up, they are turning, staring around the room, not facing the right direction, trying to get somebody else's attention, playing. So I am constantly, basically every time we line up to go anywhere, you need to be facing forward. You shouldn't be talking to your friend. You should be right behind the person in front of you. And had I laid that expectation and consistently made sure that it was happening at the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have to say it because they would already know. They know the expectation. And kids, I am a firm believer in some high expectations because I truly think that these first graders can jump that high. They can do more than you think. So I hold really high expectations and they thrive. They do so well with knowing exactly what they can do and what they can't do. So that is my fourth point. My final point, which is a little cliche, but it's to be flexible and not frustrated. I actually heard this when I was in a youth choir at my church growing up, and this is exactly how I wanted to word it, because there is going to be meltdowns. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be phone calls, random things that will mess up your day. You could have it perfectly planned and it's just not going to work out. So in those times, be flexible. Don't be frustrated. And I'm telling myself this too. I'm still learning this because I tend to get very frustrated when they have a million questions. That is like a pet peeve of mine. It's like all the time I've answered a question, 2 seconds later, they've got another question. I'm like, how do you have another question? And sometimes they just want to tell me that like, oh, look, I got this. And I need to be like a little more woo-saw about it and just be okay. And the kids need you. They were placed in your room by God for a reason. And I will say this through and through every year, that God is going to give you exactly what you can handle. And sometimes it's going to be challenging. And that's when you need to grow. That's when you really need to dig deep and you need to see, what can I learn from this? Like, what can I take out of this that's going to make me a better teacher, a better person, a better friend, a better whatever it may be. But going back to the flexible, not frustrated, things are just not always going to go as planned. So make sure that you're ready for that, that you have the grace to extend when things don't go your way. And a little sub point in that, when you're flexible, you're not constantly going to be complaining about your job. This is something that I see a lot. And it's just teachers that I think are just so burnt out on teaching, and the little things that just are so worrisome throughout the day that they just want to complain, and they want their complaints to be heard. And especially for new teachers, that's not what we want to hear. Like, we want to hear that, like, you love your job, and yes, it's difficult, but like, there's nothing else I would rather do. So those are the 5 things that I've been learning this year. I kind of feel like I had my own little therapy session recording this for you guys. So I'm really going to be taking these to heart on how I can better my teaching next year and really make sure that I am the best teacher for my students. And so if you enjoyed this little video, I hope that you will stick around and subscribe to my channel for more teaching content, and like this video, comment down below if there's anything that you would particularly like to see, like to know about, and I would be glad to do some more videos. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I will see you guys back here on your screen very soon. Bye.